Hi everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. So I have another story. We were last video I was talking about my grandma and some of the reflections I had living back in the village. And so um I one of the things growing up was I didn't know how to cook. I knew how to make bread, and it was just like the main dishes was just something I really never learned as a teenager. And I always admired my grandma's meals. Uh, so I went, as a young adult, you never paid attention. You knew, everyone knew what spaghetti was. And so, you know, but I never looked at the process. Process is kind of important. But fast forward, after I had gotten married, my husband, he brought it up. He's like, "Do you know how to cook?" And I was like, "Yes, I know how to cook." He knew I knew how to make bread, but and cook eggs, but he's like, "Well, can you think you can cook some dinner tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he goes, "Yeah, sandwiches are getting kind of old." And I was like, "Oh, well, guys like to eat sandwiches, so I was just trying to appease you." I was lying through my teeth. I did not know how to cook. Uh, so he went off to work, and I decided, okay, I need to cook something. So I called my grandma up, and I figured, how hard is it? Her spaghetti always tasted good. Now, remember, I'm from the village. There's no fancy tomato sauce recipe, nothing. It's simple. But I grew up on her spaghetti. It was good. So I call her up and I get the recipe and I write it down and then I read it back to her. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this. This will make me look like I'm chef. So I I followed her recipe. It was simple. Noodles, spaghetti sauce, you know, ground meat, and Italian seasoning. And she said if I happen to have dry basil in my pantry, I can add that. But if I didn't, there was a lot of times she didn't have it, so she didn't put it in. So I was like, okay. So I followed it. And, when my husband got home and he sat down for dinner, now this is a long time ago, we were poorer than dirt. So we couldn't afford a microwave. This is 1991. Um, and by the time he got home, the spaghetti had been cold. So he showed me how to warm it up in the stove on top of the stove, and we sat there and ate, and it was good, but there was something off with it. I mean, it didn't taste right, and I was like, I couldn't figure that out. I was like, dang, I wrote down the recipe, I followed it. There was something wrong with this. So I was like, what did I leave out? Maybe all the times I enjoyed it, there was dried basil that what she added to the sauce. Um, did I couldn't figure it out. And so fast forward, a few months later, I think it was fall time or late summer, but I went home and, you know, my oh, her moose soup. Oh, that was always good. Her moose ribs. It's making me hungry thinking of my grandma's cooking. And so, but she made spaghetti. And I was like, so I watched her and I did everything she did. And then I ate it and I was like, God, this is what it's supposed to taste like. what is wrong with my recipe? And then it was like a light bulb went off. I was like, oh, I never knew that. I never knew there was a difference between moose meat and beef on taste. Um, you know, I realized the spaghetti I had been yearning for was my grandma's spaghetti with moose meat. And that's why it tasted so different. I grew up in the village, Um, we had ground meat, but it was ground moose meat. And uh, so I did take a couple bags home when I went back home, and I made her simple spaghetti recipe, and it was delicious. So, you know, it really it really made me realize, you can follow a recipe, you can, but if you don't pay attention to the key ingredients, especially if it's something you're trying to replicate that your grandma or your mom or dad, the way they used to cook it, it's not going to taste the same. And, hopefully it's a learning lesson for anyone that, you know, something so simple. Uh, it's just more than food. It's a memory, and it just makes you enjoy that connection to your past and who you are. And it just, I still think of my gram and how she used to cook. And it was just simple traditional food. And I do have another story regarding my grandma when she changed up the moose soup ingredients. Me and my grandpa, that'll be for another day. We're very skeptical, but we ate it. I'll have to, there'll be a story for another time as my grandma changing up things on us. But do you guys have a family recipe? I want you to share it in the comments. Did you ever try and make it and figure out if it was missing a key ingredient? Um, I know when I make my mom's potato salad, it never tastes the same. I follow her recipe, and she always teases me. She's like, "That's because you need to make it with love." Oh, but hopefully it brings back some good memories for you. Don't forget to hit like, comment, let me know. Do you have a family favorite recipe? Did you learn it from your grandma, your auntie, your mom? Who'd you learn the recipe from? I'd love to hear it in the comments. You have a wonderful day. Bye.